I said to her, I'm going through a really, really rough time right now. Things were very grey and cloudy and blurry. And I said, can you please give me a referral so I can see someone? And she said, if I do that, she goes, I can help you with everything that I know. And like, you know, again, mindfulness, exercises, meditation, la, la, la. Yeah. If I put your referral through, that's going to go on your file. And when you go to get a job, that's going to affect you. I was like, excuse me, what? I do not remember 2.5 years of my life because of that. Like, to the point that I don't remember. My friends from high school say, do you remember that summer when we went on that trip, on the road trip, and then we went via train there and we slept there and we did that? No. What about when we went to that party? Or like, I don't remember my 18th birthday party, which is supposed to be like, I remember I was organizing it, but that's kind of it. My friend said that we had a massive party. We went up after that. We went to like an after party. There was like loads of fun, drinks. Everyone was like, woo, don't remember anything.
So Freyja, I'll calm the hell down now. Welcome on in. Can you give us a little bit of an intro to yourself? Because actually, I've just remembered on my first one of the year, I forgot to tell the guests to introduce themselves. So we just skipped straight into the topic. So
That's
yeah,
right.
Can you give us a little intro to yourself?
Yes, hello. My name is Freyja. I am a Twitch streamer, content creator. I mostly stream Stardew Valley now, which is quite cozy, and I think it's a game that really gives me the opportunity to interact a lot with chat. My community is very much mental health focused, and we try to create a safe space for everybody. So I have these moments that I call soppy Freyja moments, where I am very emotional as a person, so I get a lot of moments when I do talk about life and mental health, and you know, if someone says that they're going through something in chat, we'll stop and we'll discuss that, and we'll allow the space for that. I am originally a Transylvanian vampire, as I like to say, but I do live in the north in the UK. And yeah, this is the in big lines, this is who I am.
When did you move over to the UK?
2016, that's what, 5.5 years ago.
Okay. Because as I said, when I first came into your stream, the accent's really subtle. Like at first I was like, I think I said, is it Scandinavian of some description? But yeah, your accent is very English with a tiny hint of other things.
Thank you. I mean, I take it as a compliment because I am an actor at my base. I work in theatre. When I'm not a streamer and when I don't play games, I work in theatre. I mainly deliver theatre workshops for young people with special educational needs and disabilities.
Yeah.
And when I moved here, I really much wanted to pursue acting. Accent was one of the things that everyone told me. You have to get the RP accent. You have to know how to do whatever accent from wherever area. So, yeah, I lived in Essex for a while, so I might sound Essexy sometimes. I might say water, party.
Have you not picked up any northern stuff yet?
I do say but. I do say sithy, which is I live in Yorkshire, so I do say sithy a lot, which is like see you later.
Oh, really?
So I've
yeah. Oh, I suppose. Yeah, seethy later. Yeah, I suppose. Seethy. I don't think I've ever heard that. And like Yorkshire's only like 2 counties over from us.
I did pick up on a few bits and bobs. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So we are going to go into your kind of like your sort of early years and diagnosis of mental health as things have come up and stuff. But before we do that, I'm just interested to know, like, what was it? Obviously you have these safe spaces and these soppy Freyja moments and stuff. Like, what was it that actually led you to decide, actually, I want to do this on Twitch?
Well, I started on Twitch as a let's game and let's, talk to people. And I was part of a community. I used to play a game called Project Winter, which I still play whenever I get the opportunity. And we created a lovely bunch of people that we were surrounding with, all of us. And it was more like, okay, me and my friends playing games. But I was going through a very rough period of my life. I literally, probably 2 weeks before I started streaming, I broke up with my longtime partner. I was thinking and debating if I do have a roof above my head because I was supposed to move out. So I was going through a lot of rough things, and, people come in and say, oh, how are you today? And I kept saying, oh, everything's good, it's fine, yay, jolly, 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 until, I was like, actually, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And why do I put this mask on with people that, are here to be with me, people that are here to spend some time with me, and people that, even though I've never met in real life, I do consider my friends. So I'm not okay. And it's okay not to be okay. So that's kind of started from there. And now, I get people who come and say, can I just vent? And I'm like, vent away. Let's vent together, Yeah. So that's kind of how it started. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's good. I like when it kind of comes up organically like that. And it is right. The biggest thing is we always often give space to everybody else to not be okay before we give space to ourselves to not be okay, and we'll give someone else permission to take that mask off. And it can often take us a long time, especially if you're kind of doing something public facing, to actually get to that point yourself. I remember before, years and years ago, before obviously doing all this stuff on Twitch, because I was coaching people, looking at everything else that people do, and the all coaches needed to look like they had their shit together 100% of the time on social media, and that was that actual need to be that was one of the biggest drains on my actual mental health at the time, because it just didn't give any space for me to not be okay on that day. It's like, oh God, if people find out that I've not got my shit together, then they'll just think that, why would anybody listen to you? In reality, there are some people that think that. That's not a completely unreasonable thing, but actually the people that you connect with, or the people that I'm trying to connect with and trying to help, they see it more actually. They'd rather be speaking to somebody who actually doesn't have it together 100% of the time, because it's more real, it's more relatable, it's more, they can believe it, they feel like this person understands me a little bit more. And I think, I'm a big fan of the phrase, your vibe attracts your tribe. And that's if we are kind of constantly masking, well, we're gonna attract a tribe that think that they constantly have to mask as well. So it's cool that mask came off. So for yourself, with what was the first sort of diagnosis that you got that you received mental health wise?
I think it was anxiety. I think that was the first one that, when I was about 12, 13 years old. My mum took me to the GP for something completely unrelated, but then I just mentioned to my GP, there's this going on, and having more talks with my GP, she said, okay, this might be anxiety, let's have a look into it. And then from there on, I think things progressed and life happened, and depression started happening as well. Anxiety was my first one, but then depression attached itself to it, sadly. Yeah.
So at the age of 12, what was your experience with anxiety? What were the feel? Did you know the name for it at that point, or did you just have feelings and then the doctor helped you find the name? What was that process like?
I was a very curious child. I loved exploring, and I read all those Bravo magazines and all those, the internet was not really a thing then. So I was looking into all the magazines that were around, and the, help page where people send letters and I'm going through this. Yeah. So I was doing a lot of research by reading all these things. And I just had a feeling that something's not normal, because I was talking to, friends of mine, and I was like, do you experience this? Are you, so, you asked me what it was. Sorry. The fear of going to school and not knowing the right answer for most of my classmates was not a thing. I didn't know, whatever, I'll know it next time, or
Yeah.
I felt so much pressure to know the answer in school. I felt so much pressure to be in a certain way or to act in a certain way around my friends, around my family. I grew up in a quite dysfunctional family. So I think that had a lot of impact. I feel like the energy that was going between my parents was not very healthy. And that reflected a lot upon me.
Yeah.
And when I was 12 and a half, my baby brother was born. And I mean, this is very personal and this is very sensitive, but I'm really happy to share it all the time because I feel like I've learned so much from that. But like watching around me, the way that my parents were, bringing up my brother, I could see some things that I was like, is that normal? Like, is a 2-year-old supposed to not have a nap time? Is it a 2-year-old supposed to sit in front of a telly all the time? And this is no judgment to my family, to my parents. That's what they knew. They grew up in the communism in Romania. They had a different set of, ethos and mentality and things that they would understand. And, their parents, brought them up in a certain way. But for me, some things were not very clear. And I was like, no, I need to help her. I need to do something about this. And, there were arguments between my parents and there were a lot of other things happening. So, I kind of took, the reins and I said, you know what, I'm not going to let this child grow up watching all of this because I've grown up watching all of this. So I kind of took over a lot of that. And I always say I've raised my baby brother. My parents probably would not agree with that. There's that sort of thing. But I think from when my baby brother was born, I think a lot of my anxiety grew a lot because I think I was not just, the peer pressure, like friends, kids at school itself. But I think that pressure that I put on myself on being that big sister that has to take care of a younger brother, that has to be a good model for them, that has to protect them from the world, and from whatever other things that I thought were not really good. So, yeah.
So obviously, you went and saw the doctor about this, and then it was, they actually mentioned, potentially could be anxiety and stuff. What was the kind of overarching view of mental health from your country? Because obviously in this country we've got two very clear, distinct sides of stigma, and it's okay not to be okay.
Well, there's no paper trail.
Right.
From me living in Romania, there's no paper trail that I have had any mental health issues, illnesses, etc. No paper trail and I had a lot of conversations with my GP, and I was lucky that I had the same doctor every time, so she would remember, my history, and we could really develop that journey and exploration. I remember, I think I kept insisting, is there not something I can do? She would be like, oh, there's this mindfulness paper she would throw at me and do this. And I hear that this might help, but there was no such thing as I'll send you to a psychiatrist to actually get a proper diagnosis, get some medication or whatever. And she explained to me years later when I was, I think, finishing high school, I said to her, I'm going through a really, really rough time right now. Things were very grey and cloudy and blurry. And I said, can you please give me a referral so I can see someone? And she said, if I do that, she goes, I can help you with everything that I know. And again, mindfulness, exercises, meditation, la, la, la. Yep. If I put your referral through, that's going to go on your file. And when you go to get a job, that's going to affect you. I was like, excuse me, what? I don't recommend you do that. Because she knew me from when I was a baby. So I feel like she had this sort of attachment to me, right? As my personal doctor. But yeah, she was like, I don't recommend we do that. I was like, yeah, but like it's my health. Like, what if there is a pill that will help me cope with whatever I'm going through right now, you know? And she was like, you sure you want to do that? Because when you go and you know, you have to you sign a contract and they're going to say, okay, can we get normally a lot of companies, I haven't experienced it much because I've been a freelancer, but a lot of companies in Romania do ask for like a health checkup when you get hired, and that's going to be there on your file. Don't do it.
Yeah. Is that still the case now? Do you know? I'm
not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure. I hope it's not, but there's a lot of stigma in Romania. I was
going to say there's still no one's really technically allowed to talk about it because it's, you know, we have fairness policies and stuff in the UK now, and discrimination policies and all that stuff. But the funny thing I find about whenever an employer is like, oh well, I don't want to, you know, if an employer is like, I don't want to hire somebody with a mental health condition. First of all, a lot of us have got mental health conditions. What you're saying is, I don't want to hire a person with a diagnosed mental health condition. And the difference between a person with an undiagnosed mental health condition and a diagnosed mental health condition is that a person with a diagnosed mental health condition is probably doing more things to look after their mental health than the person, again, who is masking. And it's such a backwards way of thinking, in the fact that actually this person is more of a risk to me than the person that's got the squeaky clean resume that looks like they've never struggled a day in their life. Because, you know, like everybody struggles. Not everybody does have a mental health condition, but like it's diagnosed. It's supposed to be 1 in 4. And that's just diagnosed, like, you know, it's at least 2 in 4. Like, I'm going to say, I mean, and like how we prefer to say it is that we all have mental health, because the person who is suffering with stress, but has been, you know, speaking to a doctor about it, has been speaking to a therapist about it, has been on medication about it, is much more likely to kind of be okay long term than that person who's just like, I'm going to mask this and mask this and mask this until the day that I just hand me notice in, or run out of the business, throwing the papers in the air.
Not only, but like they're much more aware of what's happening, and they've got some tools that they can always reach out to and be like, oh, okay, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this. Yeah. I completely agree. But I think the stigma, you know, in Romania, growing up, I would always hear this, you know, like, oh, come on, it's not that big of a deal. Like, you can do it. Like, it's all in your head. Like, if you don't think about it, it's not there. Or if you tell yourself that that's not a thing, it's not going to be a thing. And I'm like, but no. And I would always challenge it with my family, for example. I'd be like, but Mum, if you break your leg right now, you're gonna go straight to A&E to put in a cast. If something in your head's not working, or emotionally is not working, why wouldn't you go see someone about it to help you fix it?
Yeah, exactly. And the answer to that, well, twofold. 1, stigma. 2, when you do go and see someone about how to fix it, there's not quite as an agreed upon path of what people need to do. So as we've talked about a lot in chat this morning, is like a diagnosis process can be quite lengthy, and it can be quite, and it's and the hardest thing I think a lot about at the time is that if you've got a broken leg, you go to the hospital, you have to do that once, and then they put the cast on, and then they give you a track of like, when we're going to come and check your cast at this point, we're going to remove the cast at that point, we're going to put a soft cast on at that point, whatever it might be, and then it's a process and it's done. Whereas with your mental health, it's like, okay, first of all, there's this weird sweet spot where your mental health needs to be bad enough for you to want to do something about it, and good enough that you're able to actually speak coherently to a doctor, because you're going to have to advocate for yourself, and you're going to actually have to tell a person. You go in, if you were in absolute agony with that broken leg and you went in and you were just screaming, the doctor would be able to put an x-ray on it, see what's wrong, and be able to fix it for you. Whereas with this, we actually have to have the presence of mind to be able to coherently articulate what we're experiencing, and then have the person that actually hears that and actually puts it in the right box. And then, like, there's a few people in our chat that have been undergoing like diagnosis for a long period of time now, you might have to then advocate for yourself continuously. And so many people actually just go, you know what, I'm exhausted from this. I'm exhausted from my mental health to start off with. And now I'm exhausted from advocating for myself on top of it. So, I'm just gonna let it run its course, which it obviously doesn't run its course. But it's such a frustrating situation for so many, and something needs to be done. I don't know what it specifically is, but I think it's a combination of people outside of the hospital believing people when they talk about their mental health, and then people inside the hospital knowing, or the doctors knowing what to do when someone does. But one of the other issues on top of that is it needs to be bad enough in order to get help, which is well, let's put it this way. If I ranted on that, we'd be here for 2 hours. And this show isn't about me, it's about you. So so with that, I'm going to now get it back to you quite easily. So obviously, you said it was at 12 and a half, there was when you started feel like speaking to doctors about anxiety, and you said depression kicked in a little bit later. Was there anything in the life that kind of like led to that? Was there any kind of experience where that you were going through that led to that? What were you experiencing at the time?
Well, I think the main factor was my family and the environment that I was surrounded with, and the toxicity. And now, that I got to a certain age and I've had my own, relationships, romantic relationships. I can understand the dynamics between two people. And I did not understand them then. So to me, it seemed normal, but in the same time, when I would go to visit other friends, I'd see their parents act much differently, almost like in the films. And I'd be like, but why are my parents not like that? Why are they playing mind games with each other? Why is there always, one of them yelling, one of them crying, one of them, threatening to leave, one of them saying this, one of them saying that. So I think there was a lot of cat and mouse in my house that I was trying to dodge all the time and going, who's right here? Who do I believe? Who do I trust? So I think trust is a very good word for me to sort of emphasize, because I think I lost a lot of the trust that I had in my parents because of everything that was happening. And to be honest, I don't even know exactly what was happening, because obviously I'm the child, so a lot of the things you don't really get told, right? But you observe and you listen. So there was a lot of that, and then to sort of run away from what was happening at home, I was let quite free. I had quite a lot of freedom as a teenager growing up. You can go there, you can go out with your friends, go out to cinema, go out to clubs. Like in Romania, like if you're a 15-year-old, you can still go to a club, and it's easy to get into a club or to go to the pub as a 15-year-old, a 14-year-old, so like from 14 and a half, I was like out and about with friends and people. And I feel like I started, my dad, going a bit back, but like my dad was not really present, not even in my mum's life, but like in our life as a family. He was working a lot, and then he would be at home. I think his mental health was really bad as well. So he would be sleeping a lot, and then he would go to work and come back home, sleep. Or he would be out with whoever, to the bar, having a couple of drinks and then coming back. So for me, my dad was my hero. My dad was the best person in the world. I adored him. I idolized him.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm a foreigner. I always make that
okay.
joke.
I don't know any Romanian, so
there you go. Yeah, I idolized him, and he was just this godlike figure for me, because I could see him so rarely, and whenever I could grasp a moment with him, I was just like clinging so tight onto him. And I think because I did not really get that, I was looking to get that male presence in my life in other people. So I started going out with people much older than me, 10 years older than me. I fell in love with different, people that were definitely not my age or right for me. And I think a lot of things, that's when depression hit, because I realized I was getting attached to some situations and relationships that were very toxic for me. They were not very helpful. And I was literally just desperate for that attention and that, love that I was not getting. So that kind of followed in my teenage years, that I was just like roaming around with people that were definitely not the appropriate people for me to be around.
Yeah.
And that triggered my anxiety triggered my anxiety even more, but my depression, because I would come back home and I would come back to the same, show that was happening around the house. But then I would also have this yearning for being with X, Y, and Z group of people who, were not for me. But I wanted to be there because I'm a grown up. I'm 14, I'm 15, and I can be a grown up. Look at me,
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think I think I had it all worked out when I was that age. It's that when they say, like, that I'm old enough now, I'm nearly 40, not 14, but like that expression, youth is wasted on the young. It's like, God, I wish I had that youthful confidence of knowing that I've got my shit together and all the rest of it. Even though I clearly didn't at the time, it was just nice to think it, because that point's not really faking it. It's like, actually, I just genuinely feel like I know what I'm doing. This is totally right for me. And yes, okay, it is naivety. It's not confidence. It's naivety, but still, I wouldn't mind having a little feel what it's like to remember to feel that again, just for like 10 minutes. Because I'm like at the age now where there's way more that I don't know than what I do know. It's like, so would you know in all of that and kind of, I'm guessing, obviously, you say at that time you didn't really know that, but now you look back and you know it. In terms of that kind of attachment to kind of probably looking for a father's approval, and this is literally something I've lived through as well, because my dad was never around either, and my fatherly approval thing came from literally getting mentors and things like that, right? Like, and wanting their praise more than anything else on the face of the planet. Is that something you've now worked through? Is that something that you've now kind of found your way around, or is that still sort of an issue for you?
I would love to say it's not an issue anymore, but I feel like I'm still very much going through that. It's not affecting me as much my relationship with women is very much what I would say normal, that has been always, but my relationship with men is so much different. I hang out with the boys more than with the girls. I look for their approval more. What my partner says or thinks is very much more important to me than what my best friend who's female, means. I still look for that approval and for that, gratification from my opposite sex, which is really interesting, because I feel like I'm so much more aware of it, and I feel like I'm so much more, but I had a period of time when I left my ex before I got together with my current partner, that I saw someone for like very casually and very, just whatever. And it still hurt me a lot when they did not, I don't know how to explain it. Like, they did not, it's weird, right? Because I was seeing this person casually for fun. So I went through a checklist in my head going, are you in love with this person? No. Are you looking for this with this person? No. Are you looking for that with this person? No. So what is it that affects me so much that they don't accept me as much, or why did this rejection hurt me so much? Because I've had. Sorry, you were about to say
honestly, I think it's really normal, because I think we don't like whenever whenever like we talk about rejection, I'm always like how important was this person to you? And the thing is, if we get rejected by a stranger on the internet, if someone puts a negative comment on a post or a video we've made or anything like that, that is a still little mini rejection. And and honestly, I think there's what comes first before you rationalize it. Your emotions and your feelings come first before your kind of logical brain can kick in. And obviously, I feel like you were trying to get the logical brain ahead of it by like in that process. But I do think it's still really normal to kind of if something comes along and offers a form of rejection, that we actually still feel rejected even if it's not something. I mean, I spoke to Chat about this yesterday because I actually had a friend break up with me this week, which is a weird experience. I've never had it happen before, but I said, they were like, well, how did you feel when it happened? And it was really cordial and it was really nice. The guy just basically messaged me and said he felt like, we drifted apart, friendship had run its course, etc., etc. And I kind of had feelings about that. It was going that way for like 6 months. And then everyone was like, how did you feel? I'm like, I'm not going to lie. On the day, on the day it happened, I felt like I'd really lost something. I felt it stung really hard. And even though I've been kind of feeling like myself that actually it was going this way. But then after, in the kind of aftermath of it, it's like, actually, you know what? I'm just glad I've got the closure and I'm glad I know now. So I think it is kind of perfectly normal to feel feelings at first before you kind of, before you then get your chance to actually get in and actually reassess what it feels like after the wound. It's like, if someone who didn't really mean to hit you with a sword and cut your arm off, it's still a wound, isn't it? It's still like, I mean, obviously that was a ridiculous example, but
no. It's actually quite, it's good. I agree. I mean, as a parenthesis, I am currently being referred for ADHD because I doing a lot of research. I do think I do have ADHD, and that rejection, comes with that as well. The feeling, when you're rejected and how harsh I take it upon myself. And when someone rejects me or like wanting to be, liked by everybody. But in the same time, not wanting to be the center of attention. But going back to what you said, about, that male figure dynamic. I do, it is normal to feel, when you get rejected by someone, friend or even a stranger, if they leave a comment and they go, whatever, something negative, right? Towards you still feel that rejection. But I feel it stronger with male figures in my life, IRL, like in real life, than with females. And if I work, for example, if I'm at work and let's say I do a lot of production in theatre as well. If I go and talk to a designer who's doing the design for this show, who's female. And she says, this sucks, this is not good, this is whatever. I am much more constructive in the way that I take the feedback than if it's a man,
right,
who's going to give me that feedback, and I'll go and dwell upon it a bit more than I would normally do.
Yeah. No, makes absolute sense, and I think again, I am the same with the one exception being my wife, because her feedback cuts like a knife. But like I did the same thing. Like I was sort of just seeking out male mentors left, right, and center, and ultimately just trying to get like the pat on the head and being told good job, that thing that I've been missing from my own childhood. And as well, I've got 2 teenage boys myself, and I am so over the top, like in terms of with them, in letting them know that I'm proud of them, letting them know, like I probably say it too much if such a thing exists, because I don't want that hole to be there in their lives. And it's when you were saying earlier as well about dad being your superhero, it's funny how that works, really. I was like mine was as well, because when I did get to see him, it was great and all the rest of it. And it's funny, like how, like when people think about like being enough, like we all worry that we've got to do all this. As kids, we think we've got to do all these things to be enough. And then it's like, look at this. Well, actually, for your dad to be enough Like as for who you were at that time. Yes, looking back now, you're like, there were problems and stuff. But for who you knew at that time, all you needed to do to be enough was probably spend 10 minutes with you sometime. And that was like, and it's funny because I think we do know it's not that that's a right way to parent in this, like, or anything like that. But like, I think that with my own kids, I'm just like, when I'm spending all the time with them, and I'm like last night, I went to find what I want, like one of them, and be like, right, should we go back on that game that we were playing earlier? And he was just like, nah, I'm just talking to some randoms in VR chat now. So I'm just like, and it's like, well, they definitely don't crave me the way I crave my dad. But yeah, I think it is kind of. I personally think it's related because in the similar way to you, like my mum was kind of pretty much always there. So she was busy, but she was there, and she was very loving, and she's still like one of my best friends to this day. And as a result, I'm not that. The funny actually thing about this is I don't crave female attention to the level that I crave male attention, right? But I get female attention easier. Like if you like, it's like I want to get chat to do this right now. It's like I know obviously there are more than two genders, but if you identify, let me know in chat. Put an F in chat if you F's in chat if you identify as female, M's in chat if you identify as male, and let's look at the ratio because there's not a lot of blokes that like our community is very. Oh wait, there's more men. That's failed. There's only three. There we go. There's only 3 people. I never thought I'd ask for F's in chat before because that usually means you failed at something, doesn't it? F's in chat to pay respect. I'm not proving my point here. Looking at all these M's come through now. Oh well. I thought I've clearly not done a proper survey of the channel. So after I'm going to move away from that before I obsess over those M's and F's. I'll still see them, but so coming forward from there, obviously there's a couple more things that came in later on. Like talk us through that because obviously you mentioned when we were chatting offline about PTSD as well. Oof,
that is a yeah.
Are you ready to get into that? Or is that
I am. That's why I've mentioned it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have mentioned it to you. But I am. It's a story that I just became aware of. I am starting to actually understand what happened. I'm going to try to make the story short, but I was 17 thinking about, oh my God, I've got 1 year until I graduate high school. I become, I turn 18, I'm an adult, I can go and roam the world and explore and do whatever the heck I want to. And I fall in love with this guy who lived in a different country, but he was one of my friend's cousins who came to visit. And we fell in love, and it was this mad thing, absolute first love at first sight. It wasn't my first love, not that I can think of. Like, I think the guy before was like my first love, and I was super obsessed with that. But it was like an absolute, intense, passionate thing. He moved to Romania for me. He was 3 or 4 years older than me, and he was lovely. He was absolutely great. But there was one thing that I would always be like, I don't know about this. He used to smoke weed. Now, there's a lot of places in the world right now where that is legal. There's a lot of places where it's not legal, but a lot of people do it, and like it's like hush hush and whatever. Yeah. In Romania at that time, a lot of people did it, but it's very much illegal. And I'm not sure exactly now. I think it's still very much the same sort of situation. But I said, you know what, you do you. I don't consume it. I don't entertain that side of things. I'm fine with a glass of gin, and that's my poison.
That's what I'm drinking out of this boot. Honest.
Hey, you don't know what I've got here.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, you know what, you do you. It's fine. Pardon. But then, things started to escalate to the point that he would he would always have some on him. He would always smoke it. He would have friends over and he would share it with his friends. But then he started having extra money and spare money, and to the point that I was not really aware, but he was basically selling it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is very freaking dangerous. You have to stop or I'm, going my way. So he stopped. He stopped, or what I knew that he did. He stopped. We went. So he was Romanian, but he grew up in Spain his whole life since he was a baby. So we went over to Spain to visit his family. Come and meet my dad. Come and meet whoever, my brother, whoever. So we went over there. Everything was lovely. I absolutely love Spain. Such a beautiful place. We came back, and 2 weeks after, I get a phone call from his dad in Spain saying to me that he got arrested. I said, excuse me, what? Oh, yeah, he got arrested because he sent himself a package from Spain and he went to pick it up today and they caught him. Like they've been like following him for X amount of time. And because he sent himself a package, that was international trafficking, drug trafficking. So it was like a lot of years added to the sentence. In the end, he was there for like 3.5 years, something like that. I don't know much about that story. But I did not realize how much that affected me, that whole story. I was shit scared that I was going to get in trouble because I was his girlfriend.
Yeah.
I said I was not very aware of what was happening. Yes, I knew he was smoking it, but I did not know the how actually bad it was, the whole situation. And I didn't know what he did when we were together in Spain, like he sent himself a package with like stuff and like, it was weird, but like whatever. I do not remember 2.5 years of my life because of that. Like to the point that I don't remember. My friends from high school say, do you remember that summer when we went on that trip, on the road trip, and then we went via train there and we slept there and we did that? No. What about when we went to that party? Or like, I don't remember my 18th birthday party, which is supposed to be like, I remember I was organizing it, but that's kind of it. My friend said that we had a massive party. We went up after that. We went to like an after party. It was like loads of fun, drinks. Everyone was like, woo, don't remember anything. I am very, when it comes to police, even though I know I am a good citizen. I like to say that. I'm a good citizen. I pay my tax and I cross the street where I'm supposed to, even though, I know jaywalking is not illegal here. In Romania it is. But I cross the street on the zebra. I stop at the red light. Like I do all the things like as you're supposed to, right? I follow all the rules and the regulations. When it comes to police, I am shit scared and I don't know why. And I'm like, but why? Why? Because I've never been in trouble and I can't get in trouble because I've never done anything wrong.
Yeah.
But I get that anxiety, that rush, that, that is irrational.
Yeah. Oh, every time I'm driving and the blue light goes on behind me, the immediate thing is like, what speed am I doing? Like, and sometimes it's like 3 miles an hour over or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like full on like adrenaline. Like
it's not even when I'm driving, like even when it's like, I don't know, I see a policeman in the street, or like I went to Bali a couple of years ago and we were driving a scooter, and I was driving a scooter and there was like a big police barrier because there was a big festivity. But the police made like a sign to me to move over, and like they were showing me around. I froze and I started trembling like this. And my friend was like, are you okay? What's wrong with you? And I was like, I just can't breathe. I was on the edge of a panic attack, but nothing happened. I was not doing anything wrong. I was not being in trouble because I was fine, like that policeman was just telling me where to go because, hey, there's a big group of people just coming. So that's something. But also the fact that I cannot remember 2.5 years of my life. That is
Where
probably
does that
the one
line up in the timeline between like when you went to Spain? So like, was it after he'd been arrested that
Oh no. That was before. So
during?
we were together. We were together for like a year, 2 years. We were together for like a year and a half, 2 years. And we went to Spain, and then 2 weeks after he got arrested, and then everything ensued. I tried to help him. I tried to get him a lawyer and that sort of thing. And then I kind of went, wait a second, what am I doing? I'm supposed to study for my baccalaureate, my uni exams. I was going to come over here. Over here, I was going to go to Scotland, to Aberdeen, to uni. I was going to focus on a lot of other things. What am I doing with my life? Like, is this worth it? So that's when I kind of backed out. But yeah, I don't.
So have you kind of like spoken to anyone about that lost time to kind of unpick what's going on there?
I have had therapy for a bit, we only dipped our toes into that with my therapist. Then she said, there's a lot to go through there. We would need a lot of sessions just to start, slowly unpeeling and thinking about what is it that you're really hiding there? What are you masking? Why did you put that wall so high that you just can't go back in time there?
Yeah, must be really, really weird just to kind of like, especially with friends remembering things that you've done.
So there's pictures of me, Dave. There's pictures of me that I do not have any recollection of them being ever taken. So it's like I'm watching someone else's life. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, we've done this? Oh my God, do you not remember that we met this person? No, at all.
You see, it's a weird one because I kind of like pride myself on whenever someone's sharing a story, like even if it's stuff that I've not been able to be through, to kind of be able to try and put myself in their shoes and try and imagine what it might have been like to be there and stuff. And literally, my brain can't do this. It's like it can't fill in the blanks on this one. It's like right now I'm like, what's it like? I wonder what it's like, and it just seems scary in my head. That's what it seems like. It's like where like that. Was I even present for that? Because I've had two little bits in my life where, because I've got bipolar disorder, I've had 2 periods of psychosis that I don't really remember, but they were like really short. And in fact, actually, the first time I thought, because I was with an abusive relationship at the time, and I thought I was being gaslit actually afterwards because this person was telling me all about like what had happened, and I never told anybody about that. And it was actually my current wife that it happened again a second time with her, and actually I was like, So I don't know. Maybe I have. It's happened more times than I know of, and people have just never told me, but still, it's like especially a period like that, 2.5 years, just sounds like utterly frightening. So you've been obviously you've been doing some therapy and stuff. Was that over here, or was that when you were still in Romania?
That was over here. Over here.
Has there been kind of any particular, whether it's through therapy or through things that you've done yourself, has there been any particular kind of breakthroughs that you have made with your mental health?
I think so, because I work in theatre, but I don't work in commercial theatre. I work a lot in outreach. I work with communities. I work with underrepresented communities. I work with special educational needs and disability. I think a lot of the training and a lot of the experience just working with different people. I worked in a women's refuge for a while. I've learned a lot by doing the work that I do. And it kind of, I would always go back home, which is great. I love the fact that the work I do sends me back home with a question. I'd go back home questioning things, not questioning things about my work, but questioning things about like myself and like, oh, I've seen this, I've learned this. What does this mean in relation to this? What is this? What does this mean to me? So I'm a sexual abuse survivor as well. And when working in a women's refuge, there were some stories that, lifted in the room that I kind of identified with. And this story I've kept, and it's very much still dug under the carpet, that I don't know when I'm really ready to sort of, work through. But that's when I was in that women's refuge, I was like, whoa, one sec. This has happened to me. I identified this, oh my God. And at that moment when I was working in Essex, there was this charity that works with, sorry, getting emotional there. Okay. This charity works with survivors of abuse and sexual abuse. I just gave them a call. We were working with it. I was working with them in collaboration, but I gave them a call and I said, oh, hi, whoever, I just want to have a chat with someone. And they're like, oh, no, but like, she's not in today. Like, no, I don't want to have a chat about the project. I want to have a chat about me. And they said, oh, okay, well then let me get the form, let me get everything and I'll sort you out. And I think that was the breakthrough. That was the moment I realized, okay, I've had this happen in my life. I've grown up with this, seeing this, experiencing this. But being in that room that day has really opened my eyes and made me aware that, okay, it's time. Yes, it's lovely. I help other people through art and it's magical and it's wonderful, but I'm not actually helping myself. And I think that's the first thing that I need to do. Yeah. So yes, that's when I picked up the phone and I said, okay, I need to see someone about this. And probably charities sadly are so underfunded at the moment. So it was quite a long waiting list, but I did get some therapy with someone then. And we did, it was so lovely, the fact that they were so open about, you lead the way. I'm not going to ask any leading questions. I'm not going to ask tell me about that time when this happened to you, They would be like, I'll let it all open to you and we'll slowly pick and reveal and unveil everything and we'll work it through. So yeah, that was the biggest breakthrough moment. But sorry, I'm going to just add one more thing. Coming to the UK has been probably the biggest. It was a big life change for me. Yeah. I came here with £50 in my pocket and 2 suitcases. But the mentality that is here surrounding everything, acceptance and inclusivity, even though, when we look at like how far we've still got to go, you're like, oh my God, we're so far back, Yeah. Compared to Romania, who's still got the mentality of like 30 years ago, doing the communism, very much, close-minded, not really accepting of people that are different in any way, shape or form. Yeah. That was probably the biggest breakthrough for me when I was like, oh my God, I'm accepted. I can be myself. I'm not afraid to speak my mind. I'm not afraid to, and then, yeah, that moment when I picked up the phone, I called the therapist.
Yeah. Well, there's a few things. One, it's actually quite nice to hear a positive review of the UK for once. I think we do. I think we in the UK focus on the first part, which you said, which is there's still a long way to go. And I think there is. And I say that about mental health services from time to time, is that there is still a long, long way to go. But we are significantly further, and we're significant, and like the fact that we sit and have these type of conversations. These type of conversations weren't going on 5 years ago. Like, no, you're right. They weren't going they weren't going on 10 years ago at all. And yes, there is still a long way to go. But it's important to kind of notice how far we've come. The other thing actually was something that was echoed in chat as well, which was, I'm glad that situation in that women's refuge actually helped you put the pieces together and to then go and get the help yourself. It's like, it's one of the big reasons, like someone mentioned, Mena Rabin mentioned the phrase trauma dumping in here before and apologize for opening up. And it's like, no, we don't ever apologize for opening up in my community, because so many times there are situations like that actually, they said that Lindsay opening up yesterday had actually led her to want to open up today. And that's exactly, that's exactly it. That's the snowball effect we're going for. That is what reducing the stigma actually is. is people opening up to give other people the courage to open up, and then to hope that one day it's not even considered courageous to open up. It's considered normal. It's like, you talk about it as much as any other aspect of your life, because it is such a big thing. But the big thing I'm very glad from that is that you did get that help yourself. And like, this kind of echoes back to what we said at the beginning of the interview, where we talked about, like, within your community is other people opening up, give you the kind of, and then gave you the confidence to kind of like say, actually, you know what, I'm not okay today. And I think that's important to think, the stigma itself, who knows how long it's going to be there for. We're breaking it down one piece at a time, but the most important thing for each of us as advocates is to not be part of keeping that stigma going. And I know some 100%. days you don't want to go into detail about it, and that's cool. But yeah, I think we have a responsibility that if we're expecting others to open up, or if we're expecting others if we're expecting the stigma to be gone, is to not stigmatize or gatekeep ourselves from these things as well.
Yep.
Is there anything that we've not talked about? I mean, I've still technically got another full hour here, so you can stick around for as long as you want. I'm not kicking you out.
I can stick around if you want to. There's other things to do, Is there anything else like that from your own experience that's like you think's really important that we've not touched on? I mean, where do I start? No, but I think, like you said, I think it's very important to emphasize. We all go through something in our lives, like we all have a situation where some things are going the way you wanted to, and it affects you in a way that you probably don't even expect it sometimes. And we put so much pressure on ourselves, especially since social media has been around, that, everything looks very Instagrammable and everything's like picture perfect. And like, you have to be the picture perfect family, and you have to look in this way, and you have to be slim, and you have to have nice, perfect teeth, and like makeup and hair and clothes and brands and et cetera, when it's like, fuck that. Life's not about that. Life is not about me, living up to someone else's standards. So I always say a lot in my chat, I say, let's stop comparing ourselves to others and compare ourselves to ourselves.
Yeah.
And, today maybe you got out of bed and you had a coffee and got back into bed. That's all right.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, if you go get out of bed, brush your teeth, have a coffee, go back to bed, you've already done one extra thing for yourself, which is amazing, great. And you should celebrate that instead of put yourself down that you haven't done X, Y, and Z,
Yeah.
The dishes are still going to be there tomorrow. The laundry's still going to be there tomorrow. Yes, it can be. I call that strelaxing, when you stress about something that needs to be done, but then you're saying, "Oh, I'll do it later." So you're relaxed about it because, like, I'm not doing anything right now. But then you're stressing because you're not doing it, and it's like a weird cycle, right? Yeah. So we kind of need to break that, and it's like, this is what I'm able to do today. Yeah. This is it. And it's fine, If tomorrow I'm cleaning the whole house, scrubbing the freaking windows and everything, the floor and everything, well freaking done, But if tomorrow that's all you can do, or today this is all you can do, don't put yourself down. I think we're putting so much pressure on ourselves to just, fit that freaking mold. There's no freaking mold. Break that mold, cut it away into pieces, burn it,
Yeah, 100%. And this sort of echoes back to what we were talking about on the show last week with crises, is the fact that us being valuable or worthy or whatever it might be, it's so often it's like, according to who, who are you, am I valuable? Well, according to who? According to whose set of criteria? Because yes, some people do value the kitchen being clean. Other people value their emotional needs being met. Other people value getting outside. Other people value spending time with friends more than others. And other people value spending time with themselves more than spending time with friends. And it's, yeah, it is. You're right. It's like it's not about trying to live up to anybody else's standards or ideas or approval or anything like that. It's actually it's all of us trying to figure out who do I want to be. Who am I? Like, take everybody else's approval and everybody else's opinions out of the equation for 1 second, and who do I actually want to be? Like, not who am I trying to be for my mum, or who am I trying to be for my partner, or who am I trying to be for my best friend? Who am I actually trying to be? But the Strilaxing, yeah.
Like stress and relaxing.
Yeah,
right?
well,
Strilaxing.
we have a similar one where I call that secret option B, which is, are you going to A, get all of that stuff done that's bothering you, or are you C, going to go and relax and just enjoy your time? And the reason I go from A to C is because most of us do B, which is, I'm going to go and try and relax while stressing about all the stuff that I need to do. So I'm going to go and play Stardew Valley whilst thinking, holy shit, I wish I could make my kitchen look as good as this. It's like, but it's like,
oh my God, yes.
Yeah, it's about, if you're going to go and play Stardew Valley, and if you're going to go and do the chores, go do the chores. If you're going to relax, go and relax and give yourself complete and utter permission that you're not even going to think about those chores until you go and do those chores. Decide in your mind, okay, I'm going to do those chores tomorrow. And then you don't have to think about it. Not, oh, I really should be doing it now, because you end up getting none of the benefit, of doing the chores and none of the benefit of the relaxing. You end up stress relaxing, you end up in that middle ground, and it's, I think it's really important for people to kind of to separate those two things out. It's like, okay, if you are, rather than us thinking, oh, I'm procrastinating, it's like, no, I'm rescheduling. I'm scheduling this for later. That is not procrastination. And I'm going to go and have downtime, because when you are having that downtime, you need to actually be having that downtime rather than beating yourself up the whole time you're doing it. Because if you sat there beating yourself up, is it really downtime? It's like,
exactly,
get the most out of it.
Yeah.
Is there so if anyone, obviously, mods, can we have a shout out to Freyja up in the chat as well, please? Is there anywhere else on social media where, if people want to find out about you, connect with you, you prefer to connect with people?
I started being quite active on Twitter and Instagram, so you can find me on Twitter Freyja _ Sky, and then on Instagram I'm Freyja Sky, and of course on Twitch.
Awesome. And again, is there anything else you want to add before we wrap this up?
I'd love to have more chats with you. I think this is really great, and what you're doing, congrats on everything you're doing. I think is very great that you're building a space and a community that is so open, and it's all about, that safe environment of this is who I am, this is what I'm going through, and it's fine, it's okay, let's talk about it, let's support each other, and again break that stigma. So thank you for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been great, and yeah, we'll definitely chat again.